It's my pleasure to introduce our first oration for the night, which bears the title, No Pain, No Gain, the Christian argument for how participation awards are creating fragility in American society. Please welcome John Carlson.
Standing on the edge of the court, after hours of training, the air was thick with anticipation. Every day he showed up to the court in preparation to earn a spot on the high school basketball team. But when the day of the tryout arrived, he was rejected. What had seemed like hard work to the 14-year-old boy had been deemed insufficient. For many, this would have been a crushing end. But for him, it was only the beginning of something far greater. While many might have accepted these failures, he refused to settle for mediocrity. And henceforth, as a result of his situation, he began to understand that success isn't about showing up. It's about earning your place. The praise for his mere effort had become meaningless. But thankfully, the sting of failure ignited a fire within the boy. In a world where he could have easily blamed the coaches or the circumstances, he didn't point the finger. He didn't demand a reward or an opportunity for his mere effort. Instead, he demanded more of himself. He had turned rejection into determination. Although some argue that rewarding children based on participation, diversity, and equity improves self-esteem, fosters inclusion, and promotes teamwork, I argue that these attitudes and practices have led to the coddling of young American minds, producing fragility and self-centeredness, preventing the growth of young American individuals. Fragility, defined as being easily vulnerable, having a lack of resilience with the inability to face demanding challenges and criticism, is a major problem here in the United States. The American society has experienced a 63% increase in depression and anxiety over the past decade. Further, as we can all agree, fragility is a major problem here in the United States, and it's driven by overprotection, depression, and anxiety. Many schools and other institutions have lowered standards or avoided competition altogether in hopes of protecting self-esteem. However, this is coming at the cost of resilience. Additionally, this change to prioritize emotional stability over growth has decreased individuals' ability to deal with criticism and handle failure. Some critics may argue that rewarding children that meritocracy and a merit-based reward system create unfair advantages and lead to favoritism. For example, in youth sports, individuals that stem from wealthier backgrounds have better access to more advanced resources, such as training facilities, travel teams, and coaching, giving them an overall competitive advantage, resulting in an overall better performance. While this is true that individuals that stem from wealthier backgrounds have better access to more advanced resources, a merit-based reward system by design focuses on rewarding hard work, talent, and perseverance, and fixes this issue by tying rewards directly to individuals' contributions and accomplishments, incentivizing them to excel. Secondly, for instance, in the Dominican Republic, the average salary is around $5,000, whereas here in America, the average salary is around $64,000. Yet, a study in 2015 by Ben Brewster from Chet Athletics indicates that Dominicans made up 11% of the MLB, which is approximately one player per 63,000 citizens, approximately 5 times the number of American baseball players relative to the population. Well, why is this? As we can see, it's not about opportunity. It's about their mindset. It's about their resilience. While Americans see baseball as a dream, Dominicans treat baseball as a lifeline. The urgency of delivering their families out of poverty encourages them to work harder and stay focused on their goal. The high-stakes motivation fosters resilience and growth under pressure. In contrast, societies that prioritize equity over merit often stifle necessary motivation and discipline, leading to stagnation, as excellence is no longer seen as the primary reward, whereas a merit-based society encourages ambition and fosters resilience. Secondly, some argue that fragility is a lesser issue than injustice, reasoning this way. A house with a cracked foundation, while it might not be ideal, still provides shelter and remains functional, even if prone to larger issues. In contrast, a society built on injustice is constantly destroying itself, like a house built on shifting sand or one lit on fire. Injustice destroys a society's very foundation, creating instability, putting it at a greater risk of collapse. Thus, a society facing fragility issues is going to stand longer than a society facing injustice issues, due to the fact that they are not experiencing selfishness to the same extent. Yeah. On the other hand, one may even go as far as to say that fragility doesn't just coexist with injustice, it fuels it. When sensitivity is prioritized over resilience, we teach people to seek safety rather than pushing through conflict, resulting in a doomed society. Thus, fragility ultimately produces entitlement, leading to a divided society. And yes, pressure is real, stress is real, but hardship is not the enemy of mental health. A lack of purpose is. As Paul explains to us in Romans 5:3-4, suffering produces perseverance, perseverance character, and character hope. Thus, a society that removes suffering removes hope. Without facing challenges, individuals will struggle to build the perseverance necessary to overcome adversity. Ultimately, this issue doesn't rest in the category of school or sports or jobs. It rests in the kind of nation that we want to live in. Do we want to live in a purpose-driven nation, the kind that pursues excellence? Or do we want to live in a nation where people are shielded from challenge, handed trophies for merely existing, and rewarded more for showing up rather than their efforts? Remember that boy who was cut from his high school basketball team? That was Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball players to ever walk the earth. Getting cut shattered him, but it forced him to confront the truth. Showing up wasn't enough if he truly wanted to succeed. He had to earn it. If he had not been exposed to a more intense environment, he may have sought to blame others or made excuses, resulting in him giving up entirely, starting his journey down a life built on mediocrity. Moreover, in light of the challenges we are facing today, we must reject normalizing mediocrity in our society and begin to seek excellence. This begins by fostering resilience, seeking critical thinking skills, and developing accountability in our children, preparing them to face real-world challenges. Do not help your child with that school project. Do not side with your child in blaming a teacher or a coach for their own poor performance. Do not let your child take out the trash without putting a bag back in the can. These young Americans have to learn responsibility skills in order to be effective leaders in society, see success in the future, and ultimately be a light in accordance to how we as Christians ought to live. Thank you.